What's good, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Full Circle. I'm your host, as always, Harmon Jr. Please feel free to find me at Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media. All right, real quick, people. There wasn't an episode last week, so we're going to have 2 episodes this week. Just want to get that out the way in case you're wondering. I know the schedule's been spotty, but don't worry. Technically, we're still going to have the same number of episodes we would by the end of this week naturally. Sometimes we double up. It's life. It happens. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Last Friday, we were supposed to record, and I was just like, I am not feeling it. I got off of work. I was like, man. Chris was like, yo, I went to IKEA in New York. And I was like, man. Like, I don't know where you live, Chris, but I heard that in my mind. It was like, that sounds like a journey.
It's about an hour and a half away. I got I had to get shelves for my records, but finally got those set up. But yeah, the IKEA that's like 20 minutes from me hasn't had them for months. And I finally was like, forget it. I'll go to New York. I'll just get them. But it's all good. But I totally like spaced on, oh my God. This is the time we were doing it.
It was fine. Literally, I kid you not. It was one of those things like, you don't feel like doing nothing. It's like, I don't know, you have like a date or something. And there's like, someone's like, oh no, it looks like I'm not going to make it. And you're like, oh no.
You're like, oh no. Thank God.
Yes. Yes. That was me. Like, I remember thinking, I was like, man, I'm going to have to, like, go buy me, like, I don't know, the most sugary snack on the planet, like, Fun Dip. I don't know how old I am, but there was a candy where you just dipped it in colored sugar and ate it. That was the candy.
Yeah.
Just literally eating sugar. I was like, I'm not to do that because I'm feeling 30. I felt 30 on Friday. I'm 31. But that was one of those days. I understood my mom when she'd be like, she'd get home from work and she's like, I don't want to do anything. I'm like, you just want to work. And I'm like, okay, yeah. No, I have.
Now it's time to live. Now, once you get past 30, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go eat a slice of pizza and have a nap. That sounds just about right.
Yes, it does. But everyone, welcome Chris to the show. Chris Shriver. I hope I said that right because I did not write it down. Okay,
good job.
I said I was gonna write it down. Did not. But Chris, for those at home who don't know, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Chris Shriver, at Shrives93 on all the social things. I am one of the co-hosts of the Platformers podcast, which we've been doing for probably about 5 years now. I'm also the social media coordinator for IGN on the weekends. So I've kind of been running that ship for about 4.5 years now, which is, it's good. I mean, it's a good gig. My normal day-to-day, I'm a DevOps and systems engineer, so I help run a data center out of Philly. I live outside of the Philly area, married, all that good stuff. I love video games, big old nerd, all that.
I'm not going to lie, Chris, I like the married flex. He was like, just so you ladies married, just saying. I know after that impressive resume.
Yeah.
I know I gave my socials, but please keep it professional.
Please. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chris, for joining the show for the first time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. After being 30 all weekend. But so this week we got another exciting show. We're going to be talking about summer showcases. Yes, E3 is gone again, presumably forever. We don't know, but it's feeling that way. And in its void, we keep getting more and more summer showcases. But before that, we're going to be talking about the Fisher-Price Gamer Controller. Yes, it has been modded. Yes, you can now play everything with it. Yes, I assume it will be on Etsy. It will be on eBay. They're going to make... If Fisher-Price doesn't actually make a literal gaming controller, or someone's going to find a way to profit off this, but we'll talk about that. But before that, we're going to be talking about the Embracer Group. Who's the Embracer Group, you ask? They just bought Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix Montreal, and Eidos Montreal. I don't know what they make. But the point is, they got a whole bunch of stuff. Tomb Raider, Deus Ex. And then, I mean, that's the only ones I care about. They got other stuff, but let's be real. Tomb Raider and Deus Ex is most of what everyone cares about. And, Chris, so, people have been calling me crazy. I was like, you know what's going to happen? Every big studio is going to end up under one of the big 3. That's being Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Either under them directly or indirectly. And granted, the Embracer Group is not owned by any of them. But it could very much will be at some point, I'm sure. And more acquisitions like this keep bringing me to. I keep telling people there will be no such thing as a quote unquote independent game studio in a very near future. And it's gonna happen. I don't know what form it's gonna look like, but there won't be like I make games for Xbox, Sony. It's like I make games for Xbox, and that's all we do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's interesting because you have like Embracer Group, who I hadn't even heard of, but upon looking it up, they're and I'm gonna miss a lot of pieces of this, but basically after THQ had disbanded, they were like recreated by THQ Nordic, and then this company either purchased them or became Embracer. It's like one or the other. I forget what the order was. And now they're just like acquiring all this different IP that's like either been sitting dormant at these studios that have either disappeared. That was the whole THQ Nordic thing. And Embracer Group, obviously now purchasing Square Enix, which, I mean, we talked about on the platformers at least, like we really thought Sony was going to make a move for them for a long time. If not them, then Xbox, because they at least have the capital to do it. But I agree with you there that I think of like these big, I'll say like AA studios. I don't even know if that's like what we want to call them.
I mean, I feel that's fair.
Yeah,
it's not an insult. It's just like based off size, revenue.
Yeah, they're not first party, but like there aren't. I feel like it's easy to say there aren't that many left. There are. It's like EA. Oh my God, who was the other one I just said? Like Ubisoft. But it is weird to know that like there's some big corporate entity that now owns this. Similar to like a Tencent kind of thing over in China, which, I mean, I think that's one that like we don't necessarily talk about a lot over in the States because there's like not that much content that is like in your face other than like Genshin Impact, and I think they own PUBG. But yeah, it's weird that like all these like big conglomerates are just like gobbling up all these studios.
Yeah, and one of the big talking points is they got it for $300 million, which is a steal, quite literally.
Yeah,
and the Embracer Group isn't, like you said. I think I always say there's a level of honesty people need to be with themselves. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people who were aware of the Embracer Group and knew what they owned and knew what they did and how they operated. They own Gearbox, which I didn't know, but just off that alone, people had to know. But the general public, broadly speaking, on the journalist side, and now I feel like most people did not know this. Embracer Group was a word that didn't resonate with anyone, and it's like, okay, wow, well, that's significant. And I don't know what's more surprising, that they had the capital to acquire these things, or that their studios let them go. Like, I'm like Square Enix Montreal and Crystal Dynamics. I feel like there should have been like a bidding war for those two, but apparently nobody wanted them. And then I'm like, is this part of a bigger play where the Embracer Group is going to be acquired? Like, the Embracer Group acquires them without a problem, but then they just get acquired by somebody bigger. Whereas, if Sony wanted to, acquire them directly, maybe it would have been like cause for concern for somebody financially or just in the video game world. But if you acquire the Embracer Group, that's less of a headline. I don't know. I'm thinking, what's the play here? Because I feel like it just doesn't stop here. Because I can't see the Embracer Group releasing the next Deus Ex and Tomb Raider.
No, I mean, I think this is similar to like a Google Alphabet situation, right? Like Alphabet, for those that don't know, is the parent company of Google. I think there's a very good chance that like it wouldn't make sense for them to acquire these studios and for them to like completely like mess with the branding of them. I think in some ways THQ Nordic kind of hurt them, and the fact that we're pretty locked into like what happens in the gaming space, and like we didn't even know that this company really existed. There's a good chance that they are going to make whatever changes they think they want to make internally, but I think from our point of view, it could be just remain business as usual, and it's just like they are the overseers of like the man behind the curtain, as it were, of these studios, but it wouldn't make sense for them to acquire them and then not continue to not continue to let them create content for like the IPs that they already own.
Yeah, my thing is game development takes a while, so any fruits of the fruits of the labor is not going to be felt or seen for half a decade,
5+ years,
yeah, a decade. It's like the Bethesda Microsoft thing. Everyone's like, where are the games? Well, assuming they were already working, we're not gonna see them, and it's kind of weird because I understand structurally that 5, 6, 7, 8, hell, a decade before we start seeing these great games coming out or just these new IPs. But there's also part of me was like, man, that's a long, like we're talking a whole console generation before we might be on the
see what happens from this. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny because there were like certain moves that were made, I think, last generation that when they happened, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be crazy to see this on the PS5 and Series X, like the end result of this. I think Game Pass is a big one, or probably the biggest one, or the most obvious one. But I don't know about you. I haven't been that impressed with this generation, so far at least. Not to completely go off on a tangent, but I feel like all of these like chess piece moves that all these big companies are making right now. No, I think you're right. It won't be until the PS6 and Xbox whatever, the Xbox XYZ. Like
That's not a bad name, actually.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna know, because you're right. Like they may stop things that are in early production, pre-production, but I don't know. I mean, crazier things have happened. We got the Ravenholm documentary. That game was almost done.
I'm glad you said you're not that impressed with this generation. Not to say this generation is bad or anything, but I said this last year. But this year, I'm going to, double down on it. So, there's a thing I feel like every year people say this was the best years in gaming. And, I kind of go along with it just because there's always something phenomenal that happens or phenomenal games every year. There's not, a year that doesn't have some good games. But I'm like, every year is not the best year in gaming. Just realistically speaking, it's not. Just, objectively speaking, that can't always be true.
Yeah.
And last year, I was like, if it wasn't for surprises like Metroid Dread and then Psychonauts 2 and just games I consider that came out late in the year that just happened to be phenomenal, last year would have been lackluster in my mind. But it stuck the landing. To me, last year stuck the landing. But this year, I keep telling people, and people understand what I say, I'm not making a statement in a vacuum. You got to look at everything holistically. The best of the year has already happened. Elden Ring has already happened. Horizon has already happened.
We're not getting Breath of the Wild 2.
We're not getting Breath of the Wild 2. GTA has already happened and miraculously unhappened all at the same time.
Gran Turismo came out and I feel like nobody talked about it.
Yeah, but it did.
It did.
Because I remember talking about how it didn't get released in Russia and how I thought that was a bad move. But now I'm like, oh my God, yeah. And if you look, okay, people, understand what I'm about to say. Truly look, because I'm going to say this statement like, there's not a lot of games coming out. People are like, Mario Strikers is coming out. Let's be real. You're going to play Mario Strikers for a week.
Yeah. 2
tops. And then never touch that game again.
Yeah.
But if you look at the release calendar, officially released games, even if you look at games that we know will happen, for example, Pokemon is going to come out this year. That's not going to surprise anyone. It's going to release in November, like it always does. But, Starfield is supposedly coming out.
Yep.
Quote unquote, whatever. But then what else
we got? There were rumors of that getting delayed.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But I look at my release calendar, and it's all things I hope come out. Like, Digimon Survive is supposed to be coming out in July. It better. I can only care about a game for so long. Klonoa's coming out. I'm really excited about that. Live Alive. But, I mean, as great and as big as some of these games will be, they're not that big, honestly. They're not
and not only that, a lot of them are remakes or re-releases.
Yeah. If I was to take okay, take remakes off the list and look at brand new IPs coming out. Like, most of them seem to be Nintendo games. We're getting like Splatoon 3. We're getting Bayonetta 3. Well, that's not... Is that a Switch exclusive? We don't know, right?
Right now it is.
Okay. We're getting Pokemon. We're getting the new the Mario Rabbids game, which I am looking forward to. But none of those are just, console movers,
yeah, like
thought pieces.
There's no game with a hard release date that and I mean that's just it. That has a hard release date. And that could very well change in the next 2 months. Like, we could be sitting here having a very different conversation in July after all these events happen. But right now, as it stands, if someone were to come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, like I want to get like one of these new consoles. What do I get?" I feel like the answer is either going to be, if you like Nintendo stuff, get a Switch, and if you just want a bunch of different things to play, get an Xbox and get Game Pass. Because outside of that, like, it gives you that wide spread of like things to try out, but like there's not enough on PS5 that I think is so awe-inspiring and exclusive to that console that we haven't seen before, to make me say like you have to go out and you have to buy PS5 to play this game. Like, we still haven't had that game yet.
Yeah, I'll go a little bit further and say, what next gen exclusive is even coming out the rest of the year? I don't think there is one.
They keep saying God of War, and I don't think it's going to. Like,
wait, no, God of War is not gonna exclusively be on the PS5, is it? There's no way.
Well, it'll be timed. Eventually, they'll put it on PC, but
no, I mean, like, isn't it gonna release on PS4 as well?
Oh yeah. I forgot they're doing that.
Yeah, I'm
at that point now where like I forget that like they're still putting games
right
on PS4 because I've just like moved on. But no, you're right. They are putting a version out on that.
Yeah, and I think Forspoken, I think, is next gen exclusive, right?
That is next gen exclusive. That got delayed again, I think, by 6 months.
Yeah. At this point, I kind of feel bad for Forspoken because I'm just like, one, I don't. This is what I feel about Forspoken. The story already looks trash. It is not. Forspoken will not do anything that makes me feel like it will be a must play. But based off the movement, I feel like it has next gen elements. Like, if the movement and combat looks as good as they're making it out to look and flows as good, I think it'll be one of those games like, oh, you have to play it for these reasons that aren't necessarily that has to do with the game itself. It'll be one of those like, look what we could do. Like, if we can do this but better, then oh yeah, we're here. And
it reminds me of the and I don't even know if you don't remember this. Like, it reminds me of the conversations people used to have about like Too Human and Dark Void on like the Xbox 360 generation of like, when these games come out, they're gonna be incredible. And like a year goes by and then they're like $3 at GameStop used. Like, nobody talks about them anymore. I hope that's not the case, because like there's a good amount, like I think the cast in that's pretty good. I know Gary Whitta like either wrote the whole thing or helps with the story. Who I'm a big fan of Rogue One.
It was a good movie.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like the more I see of that game, the more I'm like, ooh, well, don't care for that. All right.
That's really been the story of Forspoken. It's like the more they show, the less it has the appeal gets worse and worse with each new showing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, ultimately it's a game, so that doesn't mean anything. There's plenty of games, Halo Infinite, that people get hyped for, and then it comes out. Okay, we talked about Gran Turismo. I just want to say, Halo Infinite to me has missed the boat. Like, it already missed the boat when it got first delayed and delayed again.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, none of my friends play Halo Infinite no more. The Battle Pass has its problems. That's between people who buy Battle Passes. I personally never do. But like, okay, the fact that I still can do campaign co-op and like, let's just be real, what most people consider baseline features aren't there. I'm just like, bro, by the time they get there, it's just going to be too late.
Well, and that was how I still feel about, like, Master Chief Collection, they're done updating at this point. That game works flawlessly, but it took them, like, literally a whole console generation to get there. It's way too long. It's way too much time. That game came out, I want to say, it was either the year that console... No, it would have been the year after the console launched. and it took them that long to just like get it together. I'm very worried about 343. And just like they made really good decisions, and I think the gameplay in Halo Infinite, there's some of it that I really, really enjoy. The opening sequence of that game is like what I wanted the rest of that game to be, where you're going through the hangar and like you're ziplining through all this ship is coming apart and everything. And then the rest of the game just isn't like that at all. I mean, I enjoyed my time with it, but that is a game that once I was done, I never, like, I really don't think about Halo Infinite at all, and that's kind of sad.
Oh yeah, like I played multiplayer for a month, if even that long, and then it was just like, bro, is it me or is it like only 2 maps and like a whole bunch of game modes that's not team deathmatch?
Yeah,
like that's what annoyed me. It's like the ability I just can't get on and play team deathmatch just really killed it for me. It's like that's all I want to do.
Well, honestly, like they could have the same type of matchmaking they had in 3 and 2 and Reach, where it's like, all right, do you want to play Team Slayer? All right, click Team Slayer, and like there you go. Like they got it right the first time,
right?
They didn't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
and yet,
I don't need to be
auto
cycle through game modes to be engaged. It's like,
right.
Guess we're playing basis. Yay. Yeah.
I spent 2 years of my life only playing Team Slayer, and I was fine with it. Like, just let me do that.
Oh, man. And I say this as a compliment to Xbox, not as like something bad, but I'm like, bro, the second you made Game Pass a thing, the concept of a game moving consoles or units just went out the window. Yeah. So what did Halo have to lose by like waiting?
Yeah. I think they had a big fear of not having that big exclusive, because I mean, for the most part, you can't even say that anymore though. Like Xbox has exclusives, it's just not one that a ton of people are talking about anymore. I don't know.
And I kind of feel like it's one of those things of someone brought up an interesting point. It's like, how many kids now of gaming age, which I mean could be 4 years old at this point, weren't around for Halo. So
yeah, they have no affinity to it.
Yeah, so it's like you didn't have to rush this out the gate, because the people who weren't there were just not that they wouldn't cared, but they weren't gonna miss anything by waiting.
Right.
And us who was there, day one, Halo 2, Halo, all that jazz. We were fine. Like it had been excellent. Like we were going to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just. I don't have the answers. I'm not saying that I do, but in my mind, I'm just kind of like, maybe it's time just to hang up Halo. And also, just on a personal note, last thing, I swear, like, the Covenant was good, now the Covenant's bad, now it's a different Covenant. Like, I don't know. The story's just gone out the window for me. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, were you on the episode where we were talking about this?
I don't think so, but I was there in spirit.
Yeah, no, there was one night we went on for like 2 hours. I mean, we talk about Halo a lot because we all feel very burned by it. But, like Halo 5, I had my problems with, and I still do, even when I go back and play that game. But, I think if they stuck to like almost doing like what Disney's doing with Star Wars, where it's like you have the Mandalorian, you have Ahsoka, you have Obi-Wan, like make these tight single player experiences with different Spartans in that universe, or like just different characters, and whoever you want to give me, I don't care. But like, give me a good narrative, give me good gameplay, and make it like an 8-hour experience. Like that's really all I need. I don't need an open world Halo game. I'm fine with playing the same game over and over again, and like I do it all the time. But I don't know. I feel like I'm an outlier in feeling that way, because they don't really make that many games like that anymore. But I don't know. I think it could do well. But if you're gonna give me Master Chief, like, give me a more compelling story.
Oh,
I don't know.
I
feel like there's no good answer at this point.
Yeah, this is strictly as we like to be, give, we like to understand the development process.
Yes.
There's people behind these decisions in games, and we understand that. But we're also fans at the same time, and we have opinions. That's just the skinny of it, people. And how I feel about it is, it's just like exactly what you said. it has a big universe because Reach is still my favorite Halo game. Like, beautiful in my mind. But I'm just like, we don't have to be with Master Chief. We could literally do anything in the Infinite universe. And I always tell people, I don't need Halo to be Call of Duty. We have Call of Duty. In the same way, like, I don't need every battle royale to be Fortnite because we have Fortnite. Like I love Apex because Apex took the battle royale formula that was popular and they made it their own. And now Apex is just its thing. Yes, it's a battle royale, but it definitively feels like Apex. And I remember when I told people when Halo comes out, I don't need Halo to ride a trend, ride a wave. I mean, sure, you could put battle royale mode if you want it in there, but just be Halo. That's all you have to do. Be the thing you already are, because we have those other things. If I wanted Call of Duty, I would just go play Call of Duty. I don't need you to pretend to be something you're not. And I mean, that's to every big franchise out there,
No,
always.
it is. Yeah, it absolutely is. But with Halo specifically, and I think it's because the last decade of being a Halo fan has been really hard. And even the series, I think, has its misses on Paramount Plus.
So I haven't watched it.
It's just a shame. There's 2 good scenes, really good scenes. And then the rest of it is I'm gonna keep watching it, but I'm not gonna enjoy myself.
It's just a TV drama, but with Halo Halo paint slapped over it.
Some of it's interesting, but there's a lot that I can't convince anyone to watch it. I haven't been it's the best thing I've watched all year. It's not. I'm just watching it because it's Halo. And I want to see what happens.
Yeah, I always go back to God of War being a good example of here's a game that was a thing and came back as a totally new thing, and look what it did. It did something new and different, but it was still very much the thing. I'm like, yes, people, you can find success. I'm like, or at the very least, just be the same thing you already were. That's the conversation I always have with people with, I always tell people I think Pokemon is genius because as much as people claim it doesn't do enough, I'm like, it kind of does though. Because you look at the new gimmicks like Dynamaxing, Mega Evolution, just all the things Pokemon has done over the years, but it's still mainly the same game. And people are like, oh, it's the same game. I'm like, but that's what's so ingenious about it.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be. But find ways to be like Breath of the Wild. It's still Zelda because people
it's
are like,
still original Zelda. It's just in a 3D space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are always like, but it didn't do enough. I don't know why people know. I'm like, but that's the ingenious of design. The whole iPhone, you don't reinvent the wheel to something amazing. You just be intuitive.
Yeah. You just keep intuiting more and more until you get the perfect product out of it.
Yeah, but I don't know. We're getting philosophical. But oh my god, perfect segue. The Fisher-Price controller, perfect example. It's intuitive. It's meant for a literal child.
Yeah,
but apparently it's good enough to work as a real controller.
Now, if Fisher-Price doesn't hop on this bandwagon of my first gaming controller that actually hooks up, has X input, and you can hook it up to an Xbox and a PC. They're missing a really great opportunity.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Have you ever seen those toys where it's that grow up toy where when you're a baby it rolls, but then when you can walk, you can change it into a walker thing, and then it would be oh look, here's the stupid controller, but actually works. And it's as you get older, you can it can literally still be your controller. And I don't know if your hands never got too big. Maybe, I mean, hell, you're at Evo destroying people on it.
Oh yeah. Well, no, up into a certain point, it probably would be sized right. Until you're finally all right, I don't need a controller with a smiley face. It could work.
And yeah, you're right. Okay, it'll be novelty, but I'm okay, people have kids. That's the perfect market. They're gonna buy this stuff. But I would buy it just to have it. I guarantee you, Fisher-Price is gonna be sold out for a good long while. It'd be one of those stupid things where they have to put up the sign, no, we do not have any more of the Fisher-Price controllers. Stop asking.
Well, and honestly, like as someone who, it's one of the things that I actually talked about this weekend. Like my wife and I are trying to have kids now, and as part of like I just redid my office and everything. As part of that, I've been trying to like box up a lot of my gaming collection because I have all kinds of controllers and consoles and stuff like that from my entire life, and I have this like huge fear that I'm gonna like have the basement in the perfect setup in the new house someday, like like the ultimate man cave, and then I'm gonna have like some like 5-year-old kid run down and just like like break it all and like destroy everything, whereas I could just leave it all boxed up and hey, this stupid Fisher-Price controller thing, this is your toy when you're a baby, and then oh look, it's got a USB input, we plug it in, you plug it into the Xbox, and then you go. Like it does make sense from a usability standpoint, as long as they don't destroy the thing. But
yeah, I mean, I would assume it's durable.
Oh, have you ever held one of those things?
I have not.
Oh, dude, my nephew's like throwing them at a wall, and like the wall takes the brunt of the damage. Like the controller doesn't die.
I mean, I clearly want, like, I was this close to buying one over the weekend. I was like, I mean, what am I gonna do with it though? Like,
there's a video that he did, like the modder, where he at least explains how it works. But I don't. Does he do like a breakdown of like the electronic components on the inside, or no? Do you know?
I don't think he does. Like he clearly cut open and like put in the connectivity to plug into USB and work.
Yeah.
But I mean, he might has now at some point. You know what I'm saying? I think since it got popular, I think he might have made an extra video explaining like, hey, if you're an engineer,
what it actually does.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that definitely what you said earlier, like having that as something like people put on Etsy and as one of those like gag gifts. It's the type of thing where just because of the labor that's involved in setting something like that up, like you could probably charge $100, because that toy's probably like $20. You could probably charge like $100 for it, and people would buy it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And my thing is, if you made it seamless, like his is kind of like you can see where he cracked it open and stuff. But if you somehow made it like seamless, like there was no cracks, maybe like the little incision where you put the plug it up, and it worked really well. You could probably get $250 for it.
Yeah, you can 3D print anything these days.
Oh yeah. But man, and it's it makes me think about the greater conversation of like, I understand that Fisher-Price just made this, games are popular, kids like controllers, easy pitch. But I'm like, there might be a market for like gamer-based toys, like even more so of like, of I guess what would be the preschool age, or I guess of what 2 to 5. I don't know how the age demographics break down, but I'm gonna say
that's probably about right, like 3 to 5, probably. Yeah, where that would go. But yeah, I mean, there's always been like, my first computer, and it has like, it's like one of those like calculator displays. Like there's like crap like that out there. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea of that more than I like the idea of like, if I had a kid, like I wouldn't buy them like a Switch Lite or anything, or a Nintendo Switch like as is. Like I think they'd have to be a little bit older before I did that, because I've seen what they can do. And
I guess unlike the laptop you said, which is basically like a glorified like $50 calculator.
Yeah. And
not like the cool $50 calculators that you use in like, high school or college. Who am I kidding? Those things are like $1,000. But it's just the part that this is something just functionally works.
Yeah.
I feel like once you make something functional, it's like a whole different ball game.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
And I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, but did you ever get betrayed by a family member where they gave you an unplugged like SNES or NES controller and made you think you were playing NBA Jam with them or something?
Yeah, I mean, so I was the youngest of 4, and like I was that, and then I have cousins that my brothers would always play like N64 together, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna be Mario," and like my brothers, running around as Mario. I literally did that to my nieces and nephews on Easter, where I was like, I gave one of them like a DualShock, and they were playing Switch, and I was like, "Here, this one's yours." And they're like, "Oh, okay." They have no idea.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's funny because like you can do this, and then at some point, like literally plug it in, and be like, Cause you know, like you get on and be like, what is this? This isn't even a controller. Like we're like, oh no, like see, like yeah, it is.
Yeah. I just love how he made it. I don't know if he made it this way or if he didn't have a choice. Like that controller, whenever you're like playing games with it, or so like if those that don't know, like what this product is, like you hit a button on it and it like plays a song or it'll make like a pew pew noise or whatever. Like the mod that he did, even though it's plugged into a PC, like anytime you move or anything, like it's still going off the entire time.
It is. I mean, I guess that's more the novelty how he still kept the original functionality of the lights and sounds.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like there's like a switch like when you're finally old enough and it goes from like he had to like prepare to die like just like not you're old enough for like big boy noises.
Yeah, locked and loaded.
Man, we are giving them gold. You can't tell me you wouldn't buy that controller. Like
I absolutely would.
Like, I feel like the ultimate move would be, like, to go to a tournament or to be streaming and owning people with, like, the preschool noises. Like, can you imagine, like, someone's beating the crap out of you and it's just like, hey, good job. Don't give up. It's like, just this moralizing effort. And you're like, and, you know, you always think when someone shows up and starts beating you with that, it's like, okay, are they not taking it serious? Are they just doing this as a flex?
Yeah. Are they like just showing off, or are they like legitimately like, no, this is the best controller?
Yeah, this is the best controller scheme for this. Like, you know, it's closer to this for, you know, my cancel combos and this and that. Cause you know, there's I went to a tournament once. You know, if you ever been to a fighting game tournament, you know, people it's called like, you know, everyone has a gamepad, and you know, there's some people who use controller and it's still godly, but you know, the general theme is if you're not playing on your own custom stick or, you know, a gamepad of some sort, that, you know, you're not a true fighting game people.
Right.
There's always like, you know, a guy who comes in with a pad. They call them pad warriors. A pad being a regular controller, DualShock scheme. But I swear those people always hold the controller in the funkiest ways. Like I have like an Xbox controller. They're either like they'll be like fighting like this, or you know, doing all these, and I'm just like.
Yeah,
bro, what?
I
like,
never understood that.
Yeah, if from the outside looking in, you think they're trying to like troll you or they're like being, but like no, like that is like the ultimate way for them to play. And like every time I see someone who comes in, they're getting ready for the match, and they have like, you know, some kung fu-esque like grip on them. I'm just like, oh yeah, I've lost. Like clearly this person came to play. Like, look at me with my thumbs where they were meant to be. Clearly,
yeah. I'm using it the way it's designed. You peon.
Exactly. I did beat someone in Smash who okay. So I was at a PAX tournament and someone was playing with like Wiimote only, and wow. I mean, they were good. Don't get me wrong. I almost lost, but part of me was just like, I am not going to lose with someone who's just Wiimote only. I think it was like the round of 64. So I think that was like the second or third round. If you won at least 2 matches, it was, you know, the round of 64. And I'm like, I refuse to lose. Because part of me was like, my pride would not be able to take losing. Wiimote and Nunchuck, I'm like, okay, that's viable. You know,
you've got an analog stick. Like, I get that.
Yeah, but like just Wiimote turning sideways, I was like, no.
Not happening.
I refuse. I refuse. I won, but again, like I think if I didn't have that strong just urge not to lose, I probably would have lost.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm like, why are there people like this in the world? I always assume it's because that was just the only controller option they had, so they got good. But like people who made the conscious decision to be like, I want to use a GameCube or Wiimote and Nunchuck or the Wii U Pro controller, I'm just gonna go with, you know, Wiimote turning sideways. I'm like, takes all.
I'm a classic gamer. I played on the NES a lot when I was growing up.
Oh man, I have a friend that refuses to believe that we've achieved no latency with wireless controllers. Like he refuses.
Some people, yeah, I mean, some people are just, you know, that way, and I get it. I get it to an extent. Like, I have now 3. I have 3 Wavebird controllers, and every time I've tried to use them, I've had problems. And I also have 4 of the Brawler 64 wireless controllers, and I finally was like, oh man, this is gonna be so exciting. Like, I am gonna play Mario Party, and everybody's gonna have a wireless N64 controller. This is great. And they kept disconnecting, and buttons weren't being picked up. And I realized it's because those controllers and the Wavebirds, they all use 2.4 gig wireless. They don't use Bluetooth. So if you have them anywhere near your home router, like, you just constantly get dropped. And I think that's why a lot of people are just like, I'm not even gonna mess with it, because like, I don't want to take the risk of the thing that ships with the console, like that not working because I had a bad experience one time.
Maybe. And that's valid, but like I tell my friend, the times are different. Like, if we were talking Wavebird era, like, okay. But
yeah,
like
I
now,
mean, they're the first ones. Like, we've come a long way.
yeah, I'm like, is there 0% latency? No. But whatever latency exists probably exists in a wired controller.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you know, until I win Evo, I can't go around preaching that.
Yeah, I've pretty much accepted my wireless life at this point.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But you know, something that we're now also going to have to accept in our life is gaming summer showcases, which isn't new per se. No, it's completely new. What am I saying? This started in 2020. Like, someone tried to have this argument with me the other day. They were like, well, gaming showcases always exist. You know, sometimes I'm like, no, they were always at E3. They were part of E3. Even when EA left, EA showed their showcase around the same time that they would have their physical, like, and I mean, yeah, like, people kept breaking off towards the end there. But like, for example, Nintendo's a good example, because Nintendo stopped having a physical showcase, 2016, 17?
Yeah,
somewhere around there. But it was still basically their E3 presentation. They could have called it E3. They could have called it Summer Direct 20, but it was their E3 showcase. Like,
and really, when they stopped doing it, like, that was, I think, if my time is right, that was during the Wii U era, where it was like, why would Nintendo be there? They have like 2 games to show, and 3 of us are gonna play it anyway, because like nobody bought a Wii U other than like me and probably you. There, like, I'm torn on it because, I mean, now it's gotten out of hand. I will say that, but like, we did have like Tokyo Game Show and what's the German Gamescom. And they were always like, they were the big 3, where it was like you had E3 in June, one of them was in August, and then I think one was in September.
Yeah, like Gamescom is in August, because it's always like, it's literally always the week of my birthday.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then TGS is like late mid-September-ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and then like you would get like PAX East and PAX West, like they were the only place you would hear about indies, unless Xbox had like, these are our featured indie games, as like the Xbox Live titles or whatever, or you know, PlayStation during their console reveal for PS4. But I mean, now it's just at a point where I get what they're doing. I get what they're trying to do, in that a lot of the complaints that people had about E3 that there was too much going on. Like, there were too many people at one event, so these smaller titles would get buried and then nobody would hear about them. And now you have the opposite problem, where you have so many different people that are shouting from the rooftops about all of these different titles. There are more titles than ever, and you have to keep up with every single event that occurs in like a 4.5 month span, and it's insane. It's way too much at this point.
Yeah, like, my thing is, okay, E3, for all its problems, kept a tight leash on things, and since like, here's E3, here are the things around E3, this is what we're gonna expect, and here's the great thing: we're gonna get a recap, you know, from every major outlet, you know, every outlet period, honestly, that covers games. Like, here's the showcase, here's what's announced, here's all the stuff, and it's cool, you know, we see the big stuff. But now it's like, okay, we have all our shows we originally had. We have the, you know, the PC Gamer show, you know, the Ubisoft, you know, Nintendo's gonna show their thing. And then it's like, okay, like, I remember the year. I'm not hating on this. I'm not hating this all, but I remember, like, Square Enix started doing a showcase, and I was like, why, bruh? Like, your stuff, your showcase is Sony's showcase. I don't care what no one has to say. That's what it was. And then Square Enix is like, we're doing our own thing. Whatever. This is still when E3 was whatever. Then Devolver Digital's like, we're going to have our own showcase. I'm like, bro, why? They do make banger games. I will give you that. You make great games.
Yep. That's the interesting thing about theirs is, like, out of all of them, theirs is one of the ones I'm more excited about. But I don't know that the average consumer is, but their games tend to be, like, they usually have at least one that's in, like, that Game of the Year conversation every year.
And then it was like, okay. Then it was like, Tiny Build was like, well, why not? But that's Tiny Build. So I'm like, eh. And then Ubisoft was like, well, we're going to have a thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. You always had a showcase. And then it was like, then gaming publications were like, we're going to have a thing. I'm like, wait. Publications themselves? Like you're not going to cover it. You're going to have your own IGN, GameSpot, Polygon, Kotaku. Polygon, Kotaku hasn't had one to my knowledge, but who knows at this point? And then it was like, okay, so then it was like, but you're also going to cover the showcase. And then Jeff Keighley was like, I got Summer of Gaming, which is separate from all of that. And then I was like, wait, what? Yeah. And then YouTube was like, we got a showcase. And I'm like, man, YouTube, sit down. It's like, I remember, YouTube Gaming was like, what's up? I was like, bro, no, just no. And then it gets to the point.
That's calmed down at least.
Yeah. But it gets to the point, it's like, okay, so we're talking every studio, every developer, every outlet. I'm like, all at around the same time. And then it gets to the point where it's just like, bro, what?
Like, do we need to do this? Especially if you have nothing to say. Like, because and we've all sat through them at this point. Like, you've been involved in this space for as long as we have. Like, there have been more than a few showcases where it has ended and we've looked at each other and been like, okay, there were two things in there that could have been at someone else's conference and we did need to spend 2 hours on everything else. I get that, like, they want to show off. Yeah, it's marketing, right? They want exposure for the product that they're trying to sell. I completely understand that. And if you have the capital to do it, then, like, okay. But it just seems like a waste of time.
Okay, it's kind of like, the people were complaining about the most recent Game Awards because it was like, okay, bro, if you cut down trailers and what was revealed, it was like 45 minutes, but over the course of 3 to 4 hours, and it's like, no one wants to do that. And it's kind of like, show us the trailer, show us the stuff, and it's like, okay. And if we keep, it's like streaming services. If we keep making it finer and finer and finer, it goes from like, look, we just go to Netflix, and now it's like, we go to Netflix for 2 shows, we go to Disney Plus for a show. We ask someone for the Amazon Prime's login because I'm not adding another one to my list. And then it's like Paramount Plus though. What? Oh crap! Y'all own like half a TV. Jesus. And then it's like, and then
at some point it's got to give.
Yeah. And then you got things like Tubi, and it's like, well, damn, I gotta go to Tubi for what? I mean, Tubi's free. Like, honestly, if you Google Tubi, chances are you already have Tubi. So I guess shout out to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I said, we're reaching quantity over quality because, like you said, I don't want to spend. It was going like, did you hear about this amazing game? Well, no, I wasn't gonna watch a showcase for 3 hours. It didn't even happen at the beginning or the end. Where it happened like at minute 42.
Yeah. Well, and at least I think we saw this with the Keighley stuff last year, where they had some big reveals, but then I would say probably 30 to 40% of it was things that we had already seen, and some of it were even trailers that we had already gotten. They were just like filling dead air, basically, with like just more content. I don't know that that's necessarily needed. Especially, like, I think Tiny Tina's Wonderland did that, where they showed off a trailer that they are, if I'm remembering this correctly, and feel free to tweet at me and tell me how wrong I am. But like, they showed off a trailer that like wasn't new, and we were like, yeah, all right, we saw this like 3 days ago when it was announced. Like, let's move on from this. I don't know. I will say one thing I do appreciate, and I think this is the way that they probably should go, and I'm gonna mess up the name of it. Now I feel bad, but there was a showcase that was done last year. It was like the cozy game or like the like chill game.
The cozy gamers. That's ringing a bell. I think that was it.
It was something like that, where all it was like these really cute and really chill, cozy games that you could play, and they were all from independent developers. And I want to say they did it before IGN's showcase, but I could be wrong. But I just remember watching that and being like, no, like if you're into this type of game, this is a great place for you to go to that. Whereas if I go to Jeff Keighley's thing, what are the odds of, like, I didn't play Elden Ring, and I'm not going to probably, because I'm a psychopath, but like and that was the big thing to take away from that. But it was like, cool, I watched this thing for an hour and a half, and like that was the moment. You risk that when you go through like the more broad audience type of stream. Whereas I feel like if you condensed it by genre and you go, all right, this is the first person shooter one. This is like, I'm just throwing stuff at the wall.
Yeah, but, you make it, more defined, like, or even that if it's got to be 3 hours, the first hour only FPS stuff or action games.
Right.
Second,
right.
Like at least that way I can cater my viewing to, like, maybe I want to. Because sometimes you do want to be there when it's first announced. You don't want to have to hear about it 2 days later, and then you want to be like, "Oh my god, did you it's fun." You want to be part of that initial reaction.
Yeah.
But I guess here's my real quick question. Now, if we have now accepted a post E3 world, like let's just say it's not coming back, it's never coming back. It's just dead to rights. Do we have to have all this stuff in the summer to fill that void? Can we just have them just more spread out throughout the year? I understand that June, for as long as we can remember the modern game era, was the month we got all the announcements. But if E3 is no more, does that have to still be so? Can we even break it down to like here's the summer solstice show, the winter solstice show, the bring it to spring, summer, like can we just do like seasonal showcases? Does it have to just be this just garbage dump in June?
I mean, part of me wants to say...
Hey, wait, real quick. I meant garbage dump as in, like, a giant thing dumping things into one canister. Not that it's bad.
Good catch. No, I like the easy direction that I want to say that it should go in is quarterly. Because UOP, at that point, UOP shareholders. Like, they can say, okay, you're in the middle of your quarter. You're going to show off what games are coming out at the end of, like, 2 quarters from now. It gives people something to look forward to. People then invest in that company, et cetera, et cetera. That's not realistic for a marketing team because the amount of work and time and coordination and planning that has to go into one of these events, like it takes months and months for them to do that. I feel like if you even did something like biannually, where Nintendo, for the most part, they're quarterly at this point. Sony and Microsoft basically are too. There's with E3 being their big, or E3 time period, that June window being like their big drop of content. But it's not like we go the entire rest of the year and Microsoft doesn't say, hey, here's a big thing that's coming. Like they do have those moments for sure. But for the smaller companies, yeah, I would say do like a biannual thing and just leave it at that. But I think we have too many small ones at this point. They got to tighten it all back up. Got to bring it back in together.
Yeah, like we're like one conference away from like here's Square Enix and here's Square Enix Montreal. I know they just got bought, but it just seemed like a good example. And it's like bro, y'all are the same company technically. I mean, yeah. I guess Ubisoft and Ubisoft Montreal would be a better scenario in that one. But it's like, but why are we becoming so segmented?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is the growing pains of like adapting to work from home, and a lot of these events, if not all of them, have gone all digital at this point, and they're still trying to figure out what is and isn't going to work. I think right now the mentality is that, oh well, it's just a digital event. We'll just make a video and put it online, and that'll be all of our announcements, and people will have their 3 hours on Twitter where they're freaking out over it, and then we'll move on. I think after this year, though, people are going to realize how jaded they are from it. And they're going to be like, oh, my God, this was exhausting. I thought that last year after all these events happened. And, like, because the funniest thing with IGN's showcase was it was the last one that, like, we all had worked, you know, I work every weekend for them, but, like, the rest of the team had been on with me for all these different events. And, like, ours ended, the credits rolled for our thing, and it was like, we're done. That's the last one that we have to worry about. And I feel like we're getting to a point where it's just this constant stream of like, oh, but this person's releasing content and this and this and this, and consumers can't keep up with it.
Yeah, and you know the problem, I guess, you know, before we wrap up, my biggest problem is, like, you know, with the segment, it comes, like you said, so I hate having to. I personally don't like when people like, did you hear this game was announced? Like, and it's probably like my favorite game ever. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? And it's like, it was part of this show. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like if there was some way to be like, look, here are the big button tops, and, you know, AAA from indie, like, cause I feel like even in the indie space, there's certain games like you can look at and someone could be like, bro, this is fire. Like it gives
you
that.
Just know.
You just know.
Yeah.
Like, when you watch the Journey trailer for the first time, bruh, it didn't
change. Single tear.
Yeah. You just know. Like, I remember when I saw the Ori trailer for the first time, I was like, bruh, what is this?
Yeah.
But, you know, and I feel like everyone needs to get together and be like, look, guys, let's all put our eggs in the same basket and be like, this is the best we got. Because I need that. Like, I feel like, because that ruins the hype. Because with E3, it's like, okay, you're getting 4 big showcases, more or less. And, you know, I'm going to watch these big 4 showcases. And even if a game is very small and gets like 20 seconds, I mentally know, because it was here, I got to keep an eye out for that.
Right.
You know, you're going to get like your big big trailer at the beginning, your big trailer at the end, some big ones, some surprises in the middle. But anything I know, like, my brain's like, okay, here. But I can't do that across 20.
No. It's hard to stay that excited about anything for that long, too. Like, I think at the beginning it's easy, right? Where, oh my God, the remaster, and they're not doing this, at least they haven't announced this yet. I hope they do. They're remastering The Simpsons Hit and Run. Like, I would lose my mind if that got announced. But if you did that, like, 15 conferences in, I'd be like, woohoo.
Exactly.
Just my energy has been sucked out of me a little bit at that point.
And yeah, and because it's a surprise, you never know, because you can't be like, hey guys, it'll be really important if you watch the one at 325.
Yeah.
You know, this was tweeted from the Gears of War Twitter account. Just saying. Like, then it's like, well, I guess we're getting the new Gears.
Yeah.
You know. It is like, because I remember one of my favorite moments is being at the Ubisoft press conference 2017, 18, whatever year the title's announced, and watching the Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer. The one with the monkey, not the first trailer where they're sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah.
But the one where, and I remember like thinking like, what is this? This looks crazy, very vulgar, but crazy. And I'm like, nah, it's not.
It can't be.
It's not. And then like, you slowly realize you're like, and in the trailer, the title drops, and you're like, oh my God. Like, and I remember just geeking out hard.
Yeah.
And you know, now the game probably never going to see the light of day, but I was geeking out hard. But you didn't have to worry about missing it, because chances are you were already there. It's like, it's Ubisoft's big press conference. And, you know, and like I said, with Square Enix, you know, they're going to be like, certain companies are going to be with certain other people. Right. So, you know, if I'm interested in games from this company, I need to be watching the Nintendo showcase or the Microsoft showcase. Like, if I like high performance street racing, I need to watch the Xbox show conference. They're going to drive a car on stage, throw some fireballs, and then give me a trailer. That's what they do. I mean, am I lying?
No, I mean, that was me. Like, when Sony, and it kills me because, like, you know, the dream for the longest time, and even though people that have gone have been like, to go to E3 is like cool, but it's a lot.
I don't care what those people say, it is always worth it. Don't let them deter you.
I always wanted to go, but when PlayStation, right at the tail end of theirs, where they would like, especially I think the last one they did, where they walked people through, and it was like, here's the Ghost of Tsushima showcase, and there's like rose petal or flower petals all over the ground. The Last of Us, they had like that barn that they converted with the hanging lights and everything. Like, that is so awesome to me, and to lose that to a digital event with a PowerPoint presentation and a woman in the background going,
all right, now here are the next games that we have for you guys coming up in winter this year.
Like, it just loses that pizzazz, and it's like, sure, I will have the moment where if the game gets shown that I want to see, I'll go on Twitter and be like, oh my god, that's great. But like, to watch people get excited over something happening on stage, like when, oh my god, what is his name? The guy that used to be president of PlayStation, Jack. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The PS4 announcement or launch E3 is what I'm talking about. Is 2013 when he came out and he was like, "Hey, discs, like, you don't need licenses. If you want to trade games with your friends, like, have fun, like, do whatever you want, like, used games, we're all for it." And everyone in the studio was just like, "Oh my god!" Like, losing their minds. Like, it's infectious when you're watching that, and you lose that to a digital event. And I understand, you know, obviously the circumstances, but it doesn't seem like they're going to bring it back. And like, that's also a part of it too. I mean, I know, like, it's like old man tradition, like, change is bad. Like, it's probably part of it is that, but I don't know. I mean, it was always very exciting to like watch that. Now it's like, I have a full-time job, I'm working, and like, oh, this showcase is at like 12 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday, and I'm like, all right, well, I have like 4 meetings then, so I can't watch.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like, bro, half these times are like, no, like, what?
Yeah, and I get it. These people have lives and jobs and all that too, but it's just a bummer. It's different. Yeah. I don't like it.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell a mini flex story. So the Sony showcase where you're talking about, I was there where we're in the barn and we're all confused about what's going on.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna send you a picture after this show. But so I remember being there and being like, what? And like then walking from like what you didn't see was the mass confusion of hurting the people. But so before the Ghost of Tsushima one, we're leaving, I think Ghost of Tsushima was last, but whatever. We're going to the Ghost of Tsushima one, and I'm talking to this dude. I'm like, yeah, bro, this is crazy. This is wild, right? And he's like, yeah, what do you think they're about to show us now? I'm like, I have no idea. So we're chatting it up, and then a guy behind us, so we sit down, and like we get up, and I'm talking to the dude right before, like, so after the party, they had food and stuff, and I was starving, and like you could walk and mingle, and so I'm walking, and I'm grabbing food, and the guy's grabbing food, and the dude's behind me is like, yo, man, you know Ted Price? I'm like, wait, that's Ted Price. The guy I've been talking to this entire time as we're going through these installments. And then I'm like, you're Ted Price. He's like, yeah. And I was like, I have food in my mouth. Would you like to take a picture? And he's like, sure. So like, I mean, I'm not, see, this is what I like about game fame is like, I don't know who I thought this guy was. Like, I'm not trying to say.
Well, you see the name like in a credit, and it's like, oh my god, I know him. Like, I've played his stuff before, but like, how often are you Googling Ted Price to see what he looks like?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh crap, that's Ted Price. So we took a picture together. But my thing was like, we legit were having like after each thing, we were like, I guess like installation buddies. I don't know, walking showcase buddies. Yeah. And so like this whole time, I'm just like, I was chatting it up with Ted Price. Look at that.
Funny.
Yeah, had no idea it was him. Zero.
Wow. I mean, that was cool that he was very, like, nonchalant about it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool that he was just like, so I'm like, this was
a regular dude.
Yeah, he was like, hey, you're a gamer, I'm a gamer. We're both experiencing these things for the first time.
Yeah. So wait, you got to see Gustavo, like, play live?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so jealous of you right now. That's amazing.
It was so funny about that. So I've been to the PlayStation showcases before, but they were like, we have a limited number this year. It's gonna be like they were being very hush hush about it once it happened. Oh, like, okay, I got it. But I kid you, cause I remember people at home said they were confused. Like they played like random things while they were making everyone move. So like I don't know what people saw at home, but I was like, no, it was equal confusion on the ground. Like people.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Well, because nobody's ever done anything like that before.
Yeah. A fun thing is like when it was time to move, like get up from your seats and like keep going, they were like telling us to do it, and people were just like, "Wait, what? What?"
Yeah.
And like no one wants to be the first person to get up and look stupid, so everyone's just kind of like, but yeah,
like, this is being live streamed, right? I don't want to look like an idiot on TV.
But yeah, that is my story.
That is awesome.
But Chris, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, man. Great
Dude,
time.
thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, of course, man. So real quick, where can people keep up with you, see your stuff, all that good stuff, tell you were wrong?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else at Shrives93. Lately, I haven't been tweeting that much because I've been working on the office that I'm sitting in that you're seeing if you're watching the stream. But I should be getting into some shenanigans in the next week or so.
Ooh, shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, and as always, people, I'm Oda Harmon Jr. You can find me at Oda Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media, all that good stuff. The show, FC Podcast 23, on Twitter and Instagram. There's a Patreon for you Patreon folks out there. Links in the description below. But as always, have a great week and be blessed. Bye.